Hello everyone, welcome to today's video and this is your friend Aceink. On August 1st, 2022, the Government of India sold telecom spectrum worth over 1.5 lakh crore rupees. And this amount is so big that it is actually greater than the GDP of many countries in the world. And in this spectrum auction, Mukesh Ambani of Reliance Industries was the clear winner, acquiring almost half of the telecom spectrum worth over 88,000 crore rupees. And now many of you might ask that if Mukesh Ambani has already acquired more than half of the 5G spectrum, then why Reliance Jio is lagging behind? Because its immediate and only worthy competitor Airtel has already rolled out its 5G network in over 12 plus cities. So does this mean Reliance Jio is lagging behind Airtel, or Reliance Jio has a master plan hidden in its sleeves? And the participants of this 5G race are not only Reliance Jio, Airtel and Vodafone Idea, but also someone who surprisingly bid in the 5G auction and bought 5G spectrum, who is none other than Gautam Adani, who is presently India's richest person. But according to the articles and information available in the public media, it is said that Adani is not going to compete directly in the retail telecom sector, because of which it might not face head-on-head competition with Reliance and Airtel. But still, Gautam Adani is known to be full of surprises. So in future, he might just surprise everyone and maybe come in direct competition with Reliance and Airtel in the 5G business. But that's a discussion for a different video. But in today's video, the entire focus will be on the current participants who are competing in the telecom retail market. So in today's video, you will find out that who is winning the current 5G race and who will reach the finish line to lead and dominate the retail 5G business in India. But before we go forward, my team and I work really hard to make such kind of a quality content for you guys. And if you're finding our videos informative, then please hit the like button and like the video, and also subscribe to the channel. And most importantly, don't forget to press the bell notification so that you get an immediate update as soon as we upload a new video. So to begin with, after witnessing the significant 4G disruption held by Jio in the telecom space, India is now ready to become a 5G nation. And whenever a nation is ready for the next technological evolution, along with it, it also brings great business opportunities. And that is the reason for the intense war and battle that is going on between telecom companies to offer the fastest and broadest reach of their 5G services to the masses as soon as possible. Because if you look at the data, in the year 2022, India had about 115 crore mobile users, with 98% having access to 4G network and 4G services. So it is very evident that the majority of the Indian mobile users are ready to accept the next big step, or you may say the next big evolution, which is the 5G network. And also this evolution is much needed for India as a nation, because presently India is ranked 128th among 140 countries in terms of average mobile internet download speed. Because presently India's average 4G download speed is about 11.46 Mbps, which is far below than the global average. So presently India has excellent 4G range but at a lower speed, and it is believed that this problem will be effectively solved by the 5G network, because if you look at the data, then you will find out that Airtel 5G is already launched and gives a speed of about 600 Mbps to 1 Gbps, which makes India's internet speed at least 52 times faster than what it was under 4G network. And now with massive internet speed comes massive business opportunities, and to capitalize on these massive business opportunities, all the telecom companies are fighting very hard. And now many of you might be thinking that the company which is going to establish the 5G network first, or going to create a broader network first, is going to win the race. But let me tell you, it is not as simple as that. Because to win this 5G race, a telecom player needs to perform on three important parameters, which are spectrum, technology and partnership. So let me explain how these three parameters play a crucial role to decide who will win the 5G race in the Indian telecom space. So let me explain the first parameter, which is the spectrum. So as discussed earlier, in the 5G spectrum auction, Reliance Jio acquired more than half of the spectrum worth over 88,000 crore rupees. But most importantly, Jio acquired 700 MHz spectrum, which was the highest in demand by the telecom players, because every telecom player wanted 700 MHz 5G spectrum. But now an obvious question arises, why this 700 MHz 5G spectrum is so important important to the telecom players and why Reliance Jio paid 88,000 crore rupees to acquire this 700 MHz 5G spectrum. So there are essentially two reasons for this. Reason number one, 700 MHz 5G spectrum provides better indoor penetration than other frequencies, because many times you might have noticed that whenever you go into a particular building, then your mobile network either becomes very weak and in the worst case stops working. And because of this problem, many customers even change service provider. For example, if you are facing this problem with Airtel, then you might just port your number to Reliance Jio or Vodafone Idea. And presently, if you look at the telecom scenario, people are either using Airtel, Reliance Jio or Vodafone Idea. And in current scenario, Vodafone Idea is bleeding and is not capable of challenging Airtel or Reliance Jio. But on the other hand, Reliance Jio and Airtel both are fighting with each other to gain as many subscribers from Vodafone Idea and also from each other. But now Reliance Jio has a competitive edge over Airtel and Vodafone Idea because it is using 700 MHz 5G spectrum for the network, because of which many customers might just prefer Reliance Jio over Airtel and Vodafone Idea just to avoid weaker signal in indoor spaces. And this is reason number one why Reliance Jio paid 88,000 crore rupees to acquire 700 MHz 5G spectrum. And then comes reason number two, which is 700 MHz 5G spectrum provides more range compared to other frequencies, which allows connecting with more subscribers from a single site. For example, if other frequencies allow connecting of 100 subscribers from a single site, then 700 MHz frequency might allow connecting 150, 200, 300, 400, 500 and maybe even more subscribers from a single site. And this will reduce the expansion cost of Reliance Jio once they start rolling out their 5G network. And here as well, Reliance Jio is clearly getting a competitive edge over its rival Airtel, because the logic is very clear. Even if Airtel and Reliance Jio spends the same amount of money on expansion or expanding their network, then Reliance Jio can easily and more quickly acquire a broader range compared to Airtel. Because if you look at telecom sector, first of all, it's a capital intensive business where huge amount of capital is required to expand such kind of a network. And if Reliance Jio has found a way to cut expenses and expand faster, then clearly Reliance Jio has got a huge competitive advantage in the upcoming 5G battle against Airtel and Vodafone Idea. And Reliance Jio doesn't stop there. With its acquisition of Pan-India 700 MHz spectrum, Reliance Jio is also planning to create a standalone 5G architecture. And that's where comes the second parameter to win the 5G race, which is technology. And to understand it further, you need to know the difference between a standalone and a non-standalone 5G architecture. So Reliance Jio is planning to launch its 5G with a standalone infrastructure or architecture. And on the other hand, Airtel uses its existing non-standalone architecture, which means in the standalone mode, Reliance Jio has chosen dedicated equipments to operate its 5G network, which means the equipments used in Reliance Jio's 5G network are specifically designed and developed for 5G network. And as a result, it is independent of its existing 4G network infrastructure, which means Reliance Jio now has a dedicated 5G network which will provide 5G service and also an independent 4G network infrastructure to provide 4G service. In simple words, the standalone 5G used by Jio is entirely new infrastructure which will function independently without using 4G equipments. But on the other hand, in case of Airtel, Airtel will be using its existing 4G core infrastructure to provide 5G services, which means Airtel has a non-standalone 5G architecture which will support both 4G and 5G services. And of course, right now standalone 5G will deliver a slightly better streaming experience than a non-standalone 5G, but still analysts and experts say that it is not a very big difference. At least not yet. Because today, there is no app or use case which requires so much of internet speed. So for a typical use case, you might notice very little difference between the 5G service provided by Airtel and the 5G service provided by Reliance Jio. And now an obvious question might come to your mind that if there is so little difference between a standalone and a non-standalone 5G architecture, then why Reliance Jio and Mukesh Ambani is spending so much money to build an entire standalone 5G network? Why not just use the existing 4G architecture like Airtel is doing? So to answer this question, you have to understand the background of Mukesh Ambani. In the early 2000s, nobody had the vision to build an empire in telecom industry. And at that point of a time, it was Mukesh Ambani and his vision which built Reliance Communications. And Mukesh Ambani was so positive about the business opportunity in telecom sector because he knew that data is going to be the new oil and the infrastructure laid for this would bring a revolution. But then, unfortunately, when Reliance was divided between Mukesh Ambani and Anil Ambani, the brainchild of Mukesh Ambani, which was Reliance Infocom, which was later renamed as Reliance Communication, was handed over to Anil Ambani. And for Anil Ambani, Reliance Communication was nothing but a cash cow, and Anil Ambani neither had the vision or the hunger to bring about that revolution which the telecom sector was capable of. And he also made Anil Ambani to sign an agreement not to compete in telecom sector for the next 10 years. So Mukesh Ambani was kept away from the business opportunity which he thought would bring about a revolution and change the nation. And in the course of time, Reliance Communications suffered at the hands of Anil Ambani and even filed for bankruptcy in the year 2019. And on the other hand, Mukesh Ambani came back with his vision and launched Reliance Jio. And as he had predicted, it brought a revolution in the telecom sector because Mukesh Ambani already had a vision that this would create about a whole ecosystem which will change our country. Because you can imagine that if Reliance Jio had not made data cheaper, then companies like Zomato, Byju's, Google Pay, Phone Pay, Bharat Pay, online shopping, online advertisement, YouTube, Reels on Instagram and many more would not have been relevant as they are right now. And Mukesh Ambani had this vision of revolution when rest of the telecom companies were charging heavily for the internet data packs. And right now, the same future vision is behind building a standalone 5G architecture for Reliance Jio's 5G services. Because right now in the entire country, it is only Mukesh Ambani who has the vision to see the power 5G technology carries. Because Mukesh Ambani believes that in the next 5 to 10 years of time, 5G is going to change the entire country. Because Mukesh Ambani already realizes that the future is going to be cloud computing, cloud gaming, virtual offices, metaverse, connected vehicles and so on. And when these solutions come into picture and the companies who build this solution come into picture, then it makes a real difference between the 5G services provided by Airtel and the 5G services provided by Reliance Jio. Because Mukesh Ambani believes that a non-standalone 5G architecture can't deliver breakthrough improvements in performance and capacity possible with 5G. And if you truly want to create breakthrough improvements in performance and capacity, then it is only possible through a standalone 5G architecture. And that's why Mukesh Ambani claims that only Jio will provide a true 5G network because only his standalone 5G infrastructure is capable of delivering the true 5G experience. And then comes factor number 3, which is partnership. Because right now in India, less than 10% of the smartphones support 5G. So partnerships are very critical for telecom companies to create a 5G ecosystem. And that is why Reliance Jio has already partnered with Google to manufacture its smartphones and Qualcomm to provide the chipsets. And right now, an average 5G smartphone in the market starts from Rs 15,000, and with a partnership of Reliance Jio with Google and Qualcomm, Jio can bring the cost to less than 10,000 rupees per phone. And these affordable phones, which are specifically designed for Jio's 5G network, may prove to be effective for capturing customers from the user base of Airtel and Vodafone Idea. So to conclude the whole discussion, currently Airtel 5G is already launched and Reliance Jio has rolled out its 5G in limited capacity, but Jio has some very big plans for its 5G business. Because Mukesh Ambani has planned something very big for the next 5 to 10 years, and to achieve these bigger objectives, Mukesh Ambani has even built a separate 5G architecture from the scratch. And also, if Reliance can manage to subsidize the 5G smartphones with their partnership with Google and Qualcomm, then Airtel and especially Vodafone Idea can end up in deep trouble. And also, in your opinion, do you think Airtel and Vodafone Idea can survive the competition from Reliance Jio for another 10 years? Write that down in the comment section. And also, if you found today's video informative, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, don't forget to press the bell notification. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Until then, this is your friend Bharat Shankar signing off.